Japan anime news powered by Newtype. As an announcer delivering news, I often think about the days when there isn't any news. Yes, those days do exist. So what do we do on such days? Today we have a little twist. Just keep that in mind. Hello, I am Hisanori Yoshida, an announcer from Nippon Broadcasting System. This program is a podcast that delivers anime information to the world through the multilingual voice translation tool Lingueene, based on the latest anime information gathered from the Newtype editorial department at KADOKAWA. We will share insights into Japan's anime situation and culture with the world. This episode was recorded on February 3rd, 2025. We are using the multilingual voice translation tool Lingueene for translation. Please note that non-Japanese languages may contain inaccuracies due to AI translation. Now let's dive into this week's news. First of all, the ending theme song for the original anime Apocalypse Hotel is also handled by Aiko. Newtype commented, "Yoshida-san seems to like this, giving it a special push." The original TV anime Apocalypse Hotel, produced by Cyber Agent and Cygames Pictures, will start airing in April, and Aiko will be in charge of both the opening and ending themes. The story is set on Earth, long after humanity has disappeared. The hotel Jingaro, located in Ginza and still in operation, has its staff of robot employees centered around the hotelier robot Yachio, waiting for the owner's return and the time to welcome humanity once again. A small miracle is about to happen in a hotel with no guests. It seems like something I would enjoy. It's not confirmed yet, though. I haven't mentioned it much, but I'm actually from Ginza. When I say I haven't mentioned it, I mean I haven't said it here. But it's a story I've often shared throughout my career. Sci-fi really is great. I'm particularly weak when it comes to something like Dr. Stone, so it definitely piques my interest. Well, the artwork is nice too. Yes, it's half destroyed, with enormous trees growing among concrete buildings, and the old man's way of saying it is Hattori Clock Shop, but now it's Waco, to put it simply. It's the clock tower in the 4th district that remains, right? Wow, that's great. It's exactly a hotel, and, Boichi-san, that's right. There's a manga artist who was in charge of the artwork for Dr. Stone, and Boichi-san had a work called Hotel. I wonder if there's a source of inspiration there. I'm a bit curious about it. I'm looking forward to it. I'm really looking forward to it, but this isn't an anime. Kokumin Quiz is being adapted into a live-action series on Netflix. This is truly an amazing manga. I found out recently that there are about 5,900 volumes available on Kindle, which is just for the ebooks. I've been living this way for a long time, so I believe I've read tens of thousands of manga throughout my life, without a doubt. When asked about my favorite, I've consistently answered that it's Kokumin Quiz. This manga was serialized in mourning from 1993 to 1995, with the original story by Reiichi Sugimoto and illustrations by Shinkichi Kato, and both the artwork and the setting are incredibly sharp. The worldview presented here is set in the midst of Japan's economic bubble. Japan had reached an incredible level of national power, and everyone felt they had the privilege to do anything in the world. Instead of deciding how to distribute this privilege through democracy, it was determined by a system of national quizzes. What does that mean? It means that by winning or making it to the end of the television program National Quiz, which aired during prime time every night, you could do what you wanted to do. It's truly a bizarre work, sharp and incisive. I thought it was amazing to entertain with such a somewhat crazy worldview that reflects the runaway national power and the limits of democracy at that time. Back then, the situation of Japanese television was dominated entirely by quiz shows. At this stage, where shows like Millionaire are starting to gain global popularity, I had a feeling that quizzes and quiz shows hold incredible power. As someone who comes from a quiz research club, I consider myself a serious quiz enthusiast, which adds to my excitement. Now, this national quiz is even more amazing because the protagonist is the host, KK Ichi. I am still a host in my current job as I work as an announcer and host various events. This work is an unprecedented, authentic manga about hosts. It vividly depicts what hosts think and what schemes they might be planning. I'm really looking forward to it. The lead is Takayuki Yamada as KK Ichi. I believe it will bring something different from the atmosphere of that era, but I'm still excited about the national quiz. The director, Teruyuki Yoshida, who has worked on dramas like Ama-chan, Salaryman Neo, and Kamakura Dono no 13 Nin, is quite impressive, isn't he? The script is written by Maggie and director Yoshida. So when Maggie talks, does she hardly mention Jobi Joba anymore? Nobody does, right? It's been nearly 30 years since they made a name for themselves as a theater unit during their student days. I wonder what's happening with Jobi Joba now. I'm not really sure. Anyway, regarding Kokumin Quiz, I've read it in installments and of course in Morning Comics. There was a collector's edition published by Ota Publishing, and then a larger edition of Kokumin Quiz came out, which I have all of. Honestly, if there's anything to be done about this, I have more confidence than anyone else in understanding this work deeply, even more than the scriptwriter. I think I've read it more times. So, I just wanted to say, I love it. I'm looking forward to it. It's not an anime, though. There is a voice acting agency called 81 Produce, and they have launched a project to celebrate their 45th anniversary. By the way, it's called 81 Produce because it was established in 1981. However, it seems that many of the voice actors appearing, like Ko Komada, Takuya Eguchi, and Kento Ito, are all over 181 centimeters tall, leading to a theory that the name 81 Produce might also relate to height. But they are not a volleyball club, so that's not their goal. Since they were established in 1981, it makes sense that they are celebrating their 45th anniversary. As the first part of their commemorative project, they will perform a reading play titled Chiaki Naomi, The Reason for Silence. It's a rather profound work. The cast includes Hiroshi Mizushima, Shinichiro Miki, Toshihiko Seki, Wataru Hatano, and Ryusei Nakao, among others. By the way, last year, Ken Productions celebrated its 40th anniversary, and this year, Haikyuu is celebrating its 65th anniversary, with each having launched official social media accounts. Or maybe not each. Is Haikyuu the one that launched the SNS? Ken Production has been doing it for a longer time. Well, we've introduced the latest news, but as I mentioned, there's a bit of a twist here. After summarizing the news, I've realized one thing. The theatrical anime in 2025 is likely to be quite spectacular. First of all, even as early as January, Mobile Suit Gundam The Witch from Mercury is already making a huge impact. I don't know how many people in Japan are using Facebook these days, but I think there are many people overseas who use various social media. It feels like about 80% of my Facebook feed is filled with discussions about this. It seems like everyone, especially older guys who are working, really loves it. It's becoming quite a phenomenon. Furthermore, we have received quite a bit of news about upcoming theatrical anime, including the movie Zombieland Saga Dream Galaxy Paradise, which will be released this year and in 2025. It is believed that this title is inspired by the Dream Galaxy, located in the Saga Prefectural Space Science Museum. It took 3 years for the production announcement to come out. I see MAPPA is busy, after all. This is also a MAPPA project. Additionally, as I mentioned the other day, the theatrical version of Hypnosis Mic has released a how-to video for fan voting, which is narrated by Subaru Kimura, who plays Ichiro Yamada. This is quite interesting. I mentioned it here the other day, right? It will be released on February 21, so please check it out. Starting from March 7th, the movie You're Under Arrest. The movie will be rescreened to commemorate the 30th anniversary of the anime adaptation of You're Under Arrest. This is in addition to various revival screenings of classic works. The manga artist Kosuke Fujishima, known for creating hit works like Ah My Goddess and You're Under Arrest, has produced many successful titles. I think the title You're Under Arrest is fantastic. It clearly conveys that it's a police comedy. The rescreening will take place on March 7th. The theatrical anime Innocence is celebrating its 20th anniversary. Director Mamoru Oshii has created the theatrical anime Innocence as a sort of sequel to Ghost in the Shell from the Patlabor series, continuing the story. I went to see it at the Toho screening room. Of course, I've seen it in theaters and on Blu-ray as well. I like Mamoru Oshii, so I watch it. A 4K remastered version is set to have its theatrical premiere. The 4K remastered version of Ghost in the Shell will also be released simultaneously, with limited screenings for 2 weeks starting February 28th, at Toho Cinemas Hibiya and some other Toho Cinemas theaters. It's definitely a nostalgia trip for us older folks. I'm definitely going to go. International Animation Film Festival. The winners of the Tokyo Anime Award Festival 2025 Anime of the Year in all categories have been announced, with the feature film category award going to Look Back. The television series category was won by the TV anime Susu no Frieren. It seems that many of the works are likely to appeal to overseas audiences. The Anime Fan Award was won by Kitaro's Birth, The Mystery of Gegege. Doesn't it feel like it was a while ago? Was it 2024? The Gegege Mystery thing? I feel like it was 2023. Somehow, Gegege Mystery is receiving an award at this timing. Additionally, the production team of Kitaro's Birth, The Mystery of Gegege, has won awards in 3 categories, including original script and animator categories. The Rose of Versailles has started screening at the end of January. Also, it seems that the cover feature pin-up of the March issue of monthly Newtype is currently the theatrical version of The Rose of Versailles, and it's being produced by MAPPA. I wonder how many works MAPPA is creating all of a sudden. I haven't seen it yet, but it seems they have employed a lot of female staff who originally loved The Rose of Versailles, so there appears to be a lot of passion behind it. The Newtype cover is impressive. The Rose of Versailles is really strong. It's nice. In the upper right corner it says Project Sekai. Sekai is also doing really well right now. Everyone has seen Proseka multiple times, and although we haven't seen it ourselves, we've heard that Nintama Rantaru is really popular right now. The theatrical version of Nintama Rantaru is also packed with content. It feels like we're in an era where watching anime in theaters is becoming more common, especially since you can watch it on streaming if you wait a bit. But when you're watching on streaming at home, don't people end up looking at their smartphones? There's definitely an important feeling of not being allowed to look at your phone in a theater, and I personally think that kind of experience is interesting. Also, although it's not anime, Thunderbolt Fantasy is releasing its final version of the theatrical film, which is a puppet show. For those who have been following Thunderbolt Fantasy, they might have been wondering, how is this going to end? But it will have a proper conclusion in theaters. Urobuchi-jan is impressive as always. And that's just some of what we have to talk about. There was a recent update from director Ishikawa regarding the theatrical version. He has a strong commitment to this project. This is about Macross, Do You Remember Love? And I will read directly from the official website, where a decalcomania announcement was made. Do you understand decalcomania? It refers to the idea that when aliens are moved by Japanese culture, or Earth's culture that isn't Japanese, it becomes a yak decalcomania situation. The 4K remaster of Do You Remember Love is currently being screened in theaters. This is in conjunction with the release of the 4K remaster set Blu-ray on January 29th, and screenings began on the 25th in theaters nationwide. It's being shown in quite a few places, almost all over the country, around 40 theaters. I remember when I was in high school, back when there weren't many anime fans, I went to see a revival screening of Do You Remember Love at Theater Ikebukuro. I was in elementary school at the time, so I never went to the theater alone. But when I became a high school student, I watched Do You Remember Love at Theater Ikebukuro. At that time, rental videos weren't really widespread at all. I was watching Macross sporadically, not really understanding it. And then I went to see the movie Do You Remember Love, and came back thinking I didn't understand anything at all. I strongly remember that now. I vividly recall the ending where Lin Minmei says, 1, 2, 3, 4. I remember it very well. Wow. But the visual power back then was incredible. More than that, it was during that time that the term Itano Circus was born, from Ichiro Itano. They're currently doing that in Zenshu, explaining the Itano Circus during this period. Isn't it a bit excessive to pursue the interesting aspects of anime that you wouldn't understand unless you've been watching for 40 years? Even in the original Gundam, Itano was involved. But the discussion about missiles being cool started with Macross. Well, there's really just too much anime accumulation. This is Yoshida Hisanori's Japan Anime News, powered by Newtype, and we received emails again this week. This one is from the radio name Kapain, as usual. Hello, Yoshida-san. This is Kapain. How are you? Regarding the girl I fell in love with in Okinawa speaks too much dialect. I read comments on English sites, and there are many comments like, the anime in 2024 starts in Hokkaido, and in 2025, it starts in Okinawa. I was impressed that overseas anime fans are knowledgeable about Japanese geography and articulate it well. Yes, I believe the work is probably Dosanko gal Hanamara Menkoi, and that's almost certain. Well, I see you understand that much. If we were to understand America in reverse, would it feel like a movie that starts in Hawaii and ends in Alaska? Can we come up with 2 examples? I really like the Sean Penn movie Into the Wild. But I wonder if Into the Wild is actually an Alaska movie. Maybe not. Is there a movie from Hawaii? Jaws is different, right? I can't help but realize the depth of understanding that people in America, or rather those around the world who love anime, have. Also, I listened to a conversation with the author of Robo no Fuji, Nabekurao, on Manga no Radio. It's a bit strange to mention it since I'm running my own thing this year, but it's also nominated for a manga award. I found it very interesting that I didn't know about well-being. I think it's a work that contrasts with success stories featuring idols. And I'm looking forward to seeing if more works like this will emerge in the future and what kind of impact they will have. I hope it gets adapted into an anime someday. Robo no Fuji seems very likely to be adapted into live action, but I wonder about that. I think it's a really difficult work to adapt, whether into a movie or an anime, yes, because I like it. I feel like I have fewer ideas if I were to take it on myself. Those who work in video production probably have their own professional insights, so I'm looking forward to that as well. However, it's important to note that the value of a manga doesn't come from being adapted into a work or an anime. The manga itself holds value. I believe that the reason manga is sought after as a source material for visual adaptations is that it allows for a lot of trial and error at a low cost. Speaking of which, the 5th episode of Abe Mujika is amazing. I really wonder how they will handle it. Abe Mujika isn't a theatrical version though. Finally, the theory that even in Bandori there are casualties is emerging. I'm also thinking that it might be possible, but I wonder what will happen. So if you have any thoughts on the program or anime news you'd like me, Yoshida, to discuss, please send them via email. The email address is janime1242.com. When posting on social media, please use the hashtag JAnime. Well then, we'll bring you the latest anime news again next week. This is Nippon Broadcasting announcer Hisanori Yoshida. As an additional piece of information, I've decided to go to South by Southwest in March. It's an interactive film and music festival held in Austin, Texas, USA. It's quite rare. I heard that VTubers will be there this year. I have to go see it. I'll be taking paid leave to attend.